So this tune is not super popular, but it has been played quite a lot on jazz jam sessions here in Berlin, and more often than not it's played pretty fast. And if you have a look at the lead sheet, you can see that it has a lot of changes. And I'm doing like a detailed analysis of this tune in the PDF for those who are interested. But in the video today, I'm just going to really break it down and play over it and talk a little bit how I see this tune sort of. And first of all, I'm going to record the A part, and I'm going to reduce the chords. You can have a look in the PDF how I reduced them. I'm going to record them on my looper. And as always, I start with like recording super clear chords on my looper. So having the root in the bass, having a 3 and a 7 in my chord voicings, saving the fancy stuff for later. And then I'm just going to play like very clear stuff, sort of I'm playing in a way that I'm explaining the song to myself while I'm playing it, and we see what's going to happen. So first of all, I'm going to record a loop. So I'm just playing, as I very often do, play like the 1 and the 3 on each chord, right? I'm having C minor, playing like the root and the minor third. And then it's just like a 2, 5, 1 to E flat major. And here I'm playing like something like a 5, 1, mostly ignoring the 2 chord. Using a lot of notes from the arpeggios. And then it's moving on to this G half diminished that leads to the F, and that leads to the B7, and that leads to the E flat. It's interesting, right? If you see a 2-5-1 on the lead sheet, sort of we assume that the harmonic rhythm goes like 2-5-1, meaning like tension, right? 2-5, it's the tension. And the 1 would be the release. But it's not always like this, so that's why always before I do an analysis sort of record the chords so that I can hear where are the resting points. And if you play a chord progression long enough, you will hear which chords sound more sort of peaceful, or on which chords you could sort of stop playing, and which chords more push forward. And on the sheet I see the G half diminished and the C7. So this is like a 2-5 in minor that doesn't go to F minor, but then I have the F and then the B7. And sort of I would assume that everything pushes forward because it's 2-5, 2-5 going to the 1. So I would think in my head I have to play like this as well, right? But if you listen to it, you can really hear that this F half diminished is a real landing point. So I'm going to play in a way that I play a line that give the F half diminished really like some peace, some restfulness. I can play the F half diminished arpeggio, right? But I can also like think in a scale, which would be like the F Locrian with the big 9, right? Like the melodic minor scale, which would be like A flat melodic minor. So basically I'm going to play now, and I want you to listen to this play. So it's bar 5. I'm really trying to land on this F half diminished chord and give it some emphasis. And also I'm going to ignore the G half diminished, and I'm going to emphasize the C7. I do that in playing a C7 arpeggio maybe, but also one thing that I like to do is like to play a diminished arpeggio on the C7. Right, so for example, if I start on the 3, my normal arpeggio would be like 3, 5 flat 7, 1, but instead of the 1, I just play a D flat, the flat 9. And then I already have the diminished arpeggio. So let's listen how that sounds. Okay. So maybe it's more like a short resting point, and then the B7 pushes onto the 1. But since it's, you know, we had the 2-5, each chord 2 bars, and then each chord 4 bars, it feels different. And I just realized that I'm not very comfortable on the F half diminished. And then I would just like sit down and practice a little bit the F half diminished, right? Make a loop with the chord that is sort of giving me trouble. And then just really exploring the sound with arpeggios, with scales, with chords. And then if I have those visual shapes like the drop 2 chords and the arpeggios, I would like to see the melodic minor scale in the shapes, right? So it's A flat, melodic minor. But then just like really seeing the scale connected to the arpeggio and the chords in every position. Big 9, right? That's great. And then on the B7, so now it's getting now it's getting crazy. Let's have a sip of coffee first. So you know, I had some time, and of course if I have free time I'm still investigating jazz guitar stuff, right? Because sometimes I don't find the time to do the thing that interests me the most. And I downloaded a masterclass from Kurt Rosenwinkel on my iPad, so I really like downloaded it on the hard drive, so that because I took like a social media detox, I can only highly recommend it. And then I just like, you know, I don't know how to say it, I'm like devouring the stuff then, because I have more space in my head. And I checked out a Kurt Rosenwinkel class. And he has been talking about I always say half note, whole note scale, right? But he always says like double diminished, which sounds way cooler. So the double diminished chord, you can scale, you can play it over this B flat 7 chord, right? Because the F half diminished and the B7, so the 251 starts in minor and ends in major, right? And this most of the time a very good place to play the double diminished scale. And we all know that we can shift it, right, in like minor thirds. Sorry. And we all always think about this scale related to a dominant 7th chord, right? But if you have a look at the shape, so just visualize the scale in one position, you can see that there's also a B flat minor 7 chord in it. I know that sounds strange, but that's what I investigated in this masterclass, because, right, you can have 1, flat 5, sharp 9, but also flat third, minor third. Warte mal kurz. And you also have a normal 5 and a minor 7. So basically what I want to say is you can also shift around a minor 7 chord in minor thirds. Warte mal. And now stay with me, and maybe you know there's also another way of playing those bars, bar 5 till 8, and another way would be like F minor, A flat minor, B minor, which are also minor 7 chords shifted in minor thirds. And I just been thinking if they might stem from a double diminished scale, right? Because you can see the shape in the scale, right? So let's do it a little bit differently. Let's go back to the double diminished scale that we have here on the B flat 7. But let's play a B flat minor and a D flat minor. So I'm going to record those chords that stem all from this scale, and then I'm going to play the scale on top of it. I didn't even do this beforehand. I don't know, I can't really understand how that works, but you know. So the caffeine is setting in, sorry. I'm so happy I already did that analysis in the PDF. What did I want to say? Oh, fuck. Yeah, one thing that I have been thinking about is we always think there's a chord, which scale can we play over it? But have you ever been thinking we have a scale, which chords can we play over it? Sort of, right? The other way around. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm playing those chords, and let's hear how it sounds. So let's play double diminished in bar 4 and 5. So, and now you know what I did? I just outlined the chords that are written on the page. So I would play C minor 7, C7, F minor, B flat, E flat, A7, A flat 7, G minor, half diminished. And that sometimes can sound so choppy because we have so little space to develop anything. And that's why I broke it down just like I did, right? So that you can develop, or I can develop, longer phrases, thinking about landing points, not landing pages, but landing points. And then let's have a look at the B part. I'm going to record it for a second. G minor, right? But in the tune it's in E flat, so I'm thinking about the chord as a chord on the 3rd degree, just in case I will have ever to transpose it somewhere. I would know it goes to the 3rd degree, right? That's how I would remember it. So I can play G melodic minor on the G minor. I can play E flat melodic minor on the D7. You know, if you know your melodic minor scale, the cool stuff is, or the cool thing is that if you play a line that's in this scale or play a pattern that sounds cool in this scale, you can use it on any chord that supports a melodic minor scale, right? So the G minor chord, I'm using it as a tonic, so I could think G minor major, right? And then D7, I'm thinking E flat melodic minor. I could practically, if I want to, just for demonstration purposes, like, you know, G minor, play the same thing, same pattern, E flat melodic minor on the D7. Already it would sound a little bit more organic. Then it goes to B flat major, which is a surprise, and I dare to say it's a modulation, right? So the B flat would normally be like a dominant 7th chord, right? We're in E flat, but all of a sudden we have a major chord. So we have the analysis at the back of our head just to understand relationships of chords. But if we improvise over it, we can just like think 2-5-1 and major, right? Then the A flat, sorry, my guitar's out of tune, A flat 7. It's like in B flat major, it would be the 4 minor, but it's also the pivot chord because it exists in 2 keys, going back to E flat. And it's also very closely related to the D half diminished. G7 going back to C minor, right? So what I just wanted to say is you can think a lot about the melodic minor scale, right? So playing the E flat melodic minor scale on the A flat, playing the F melodic minor scale on the D half diminished, playing the A flat melodic minor scale on the G7, and like this, you could possibly just like shift stuff around. Yes. Yeah, so that's it for today, right? I know this is a lot, but I just wanted to let you know one of the things that inspire me at the moment is exactly this masterclass. If you want to, I can check out which one it is. It starts with like concepts in the beginning. He's talking about concept and poetry, and I love literature. Oh God. But it turned me off. I'm sorry. I'm a guitarist as you are as well, right? So, and later on, I just like stopped watching that video because it starts, don't want to say lame, but I found it lame in the beginning, and then, you know, in our modern times, I just like stopped watching it. But later on, there are so many cool ideas. And one thing that he does also with pentatonic is like visualizing shapes and visualizing the scale on the entire fretboard, and there's a lot of stuff to discover, and I just like started with it, and it gave me back like a playfulness, right? Because I think we guitarists always tend to think that we have to hear everything and know everything, and you know, I'm teaching like this as well, of course, but I think also just to play around with stuff, finding patterns, playing them a little faster, shifting them through scales, there's endless stuff to discover, and it's a lot of fun. So anyways, I'm planning on 3 more standards. The next one is going this I Dig of You, which is a very cool standard with a lot of chromatic 2-5-1s, and we're going to have a look at this next week, and I see you I don't see you, but you see me. Bye.